The following match is scheduled for one fall and is a career versus career match. There's a saying in the business, you end your career on your back. But every once in a while, wrestling gives you a proper send-off. And as this past Monday showed us, you can give a very emotional send-off. Now with that said, the 4RWF is bringing you its top 10 wrestling farewells, minus wrestlers who pass farewells. So unfortunately, you're not going to see Eddie Guerrero, Owen Hart's, Dusty Rhodes on this list. Why not those? Because I think we're already going to have a bunch of ugly cry moments as it is. Let's not put those in there. So without further ado, here are our top 10 wrestling farewells. Number 10, Kurt Angle's Farewell Tour. Now I know what you're all saying. Technically the Farewell Tour hasn't ended yet, but I'm not one to give spoilers. It's already been taped, it will air later on, so if you guys want to see what happens, go ahead. I've already seen what happens. I think it's a very good send-off, so we'll just wait, and that's why it's number 10. But Kurt Angle, former WWE Champion, WWF Champion, TNA Champion, I guess you count WCW Champion. Well, you know what, we're just going to throw that into the WWF Championship. On an episode of TNA Impact Wrestling, Kurt Angle announced his farewell tour, with his first match being against the up-and-comer Drew Galloway. Now the match was really good, and the ending of the match where they embraced and he thanked the crowd was very moving. And his last match was announced to be against Bobby Lashley. Now that match has already happened, but it hasn't aired here in the US yet. So I recommend going to watch it. I'm not going to give away any spoilers like I said earlier, but I feel from what I've read and from what I've seen on clips that have leaked online, it was a very heartfelt goodbye. So it might move up on this list later on once I get to see a full version of it, but until then, Kurt Angle's Farewell Tour to TNA is number 10 on our list. Number 9, the end of the Yes Movement. Originally I scheduled this to be a really video clip of the week, but after this past Monday's Daniel Bryan retirement speech, I thought what better way to send him off than with a top 10 list, and he reaches number 9 on this list. The only reason he's number 9 on this list and not much higher is, like, the speech was very emotional and he was very grateful and humble and everything that you want from someone who's finally saying goodbye. But compared to other goodbye speeches, it really wasn't that emotional and that shocking. It was announced ahead of time. He hasn't been wrestling for a while, but it was still, for all you Daniel Bryan fans, a good speech. And to top it off, the whole speech was the very beginning where he stood in that ring, listening to that yes chant, hearing that yes chant, loving that yes chant, feeling the yes chant run through him, showing that underdogs can achieve their dream too, and even the end of it, when he just sat there and was like, you know what guys, just give me one more yes chant, one more. This is my last day, I need it. He was a wrestler for the fans, that plucky underdog. And as we said in one of our tweets earlier this week, as much as some of us here are not big Daniel Bryan fans, we still don't like seeing young, talented workers get injured and have to retire due to injury. Daniel Bryan's speech was moving. Daniel Bryan's speech did touch the hearts of many fans. And that's why Daniel Bryan has yes'd his way to number 9. Number 8. Antonio Inoki's Final Countdown. Alright, for all you American-based wrestlers, hear me out on number 8, and there's a reason it's above the internet darling Daniel Bryan. Antonio Inoki was one of the biggest, if not the biggest stars over in Japan wrestling. And his farewell tour? Yeah, most people get, hey, you got a month, a week, a year. His farewell tour went for 4 years, from 1994 to 1998. That's a farewell tour. I mean, it saw him go all around Japan, wrestling some of his past rivals, even going to WCW and facing Steven Regal at Clash of Champions 28. I mean, this tour was a big deal. Even if you're not a Japanese wrestling fan, you've probably heard of this guy. And his tour finally ended in 1998 with his final match being against Don Frey. Now the match only lasted about 4.5 minutes, but it showed that the 55-year-old still had some moves, not to the past of his glory days, where submissions and his match with Muhammad Ali and taking you to the mat and all those lovely things, but it was a good send-off giving him the victory. And the aftermath was amazing, with the 70,000 people at the Tokyo Dome chanting his name, the ceremony at the end, his final walk up the ramp, saying goodbye to the fans. This was a send-off for the ages. And that's why our WWE Hall of Famer, Antonio Inoki, is number 8 on our list. Number 7, El Santo. What, you guys think I was going to wear this mask if I was going to mention El Santo? Of course I am! It's been sitting up here for the past 6 episodes! El Santo is the equivalent to Hulk Hogan in Mexico. This gentleman has been in countless movies as the hero, has wrestled for decades, and finally got his farewell in August and September of 1982. Now, his farewell tour wasn't just solo matches of El Santo. He was 65 years old at the time, so he teamed up with former partners of the past to face former villains of the past, even bringing Gory Guerrero out of retirement for his final match. After every match, the opponents would raise him on his shoulders and he would get to say goodbye to all his fans. The final match of his career ended how he's been portrayed for decades. Winning, beating the odds and taking down the villains. Finally getting to say a farewell to the fans. A goodbye to everyone and a thank you for making him the biggest wrestling star Mexico has possibly ever seen. And this farewell tour also introduced the next generation of El Santo, El Hijo de El Santo. With what more farewell can you ask for when you are the biggest star in Mexico? El Santo's goodbye, number 7 on our list. Number 6, the Dudleys bid farewell to ECW. Now this one was a little difficult because ECW's had some amazing farewells over the years. Whether it's Cactus Jack's farewell, Chris Jericho's farewell, Eddie Guerrero's farewell, the ECW's final event. There's been a ton. Now, I kind of decided on the Dudley one. I would have gone with ECW's first farewell, but I couldn't find a clip of it. It was a house show, and I read about it, and I'm sure there's a clip somewhere out there. But this Dudley one kind of affected me. It all started with the Dudleys knowingly going to WWE. There was no question about it. They were going to WWE. They win the tag team titles and are taking the ECW titles to the WWE. Well, Tommy Dreamer tries to stop him, but Tommy Dreamer can't do him by himself. So he gets beat up for a little while, and then all of nowhere, you hear the music. Raven, Tommy Dreamer's arch nemesis for years, comes out and helps his fellow ECW partner to keep the belts here and not have him defect to WWE. Great little 4-minute match, very moving, but it was the afterwards of that. The Dudleys saying goodbye to the ECW fans. Paul Heyman coming down and thanking the Dudleys. The entire locker room coming out and thanking the Dudleys. The tears in Bubba and Devon's eyes. It was just very moving for a company that is supposed to be extreme. It showed that this ECW was really a family and they wanted this company to succeed. And the Dudleys were a big part of that succession. And this farewell not only hurt the ECW family, but the ECW fans. Now, being a WWF fan at the time, don't get me wrong, I loved having the Dudleys in the WWF and seeing them with their Edge and Christian and table ladders and the Hardys. It shows that not every farewell has to be a retirement farewell. And that's why the Dudleys are number 6 on our list. Number 5. Trish Stratus' farewell and Lita's farewell. Okay. It's a Trish Stratus farewell. We're just going to give it to Trish. Trish is number 5. But I have to throw in Lita's in there. But before I get to Lita's, let's start with Trish. Trish, multi-time women's champion. possibly the greatest female diva wrestler in the WWE. Nothing taken away from Fabulous Moolah, diva wrestler, not wrestler. There is a difference. She got 2 farewells in 1 week. The first one was on Monday Night Raw after a match against Mickie James, who she's been feuding for a while that year, where she won the match and got to say her goodbyes to the WWE Universe. Then came later that Sunday at Unforgiven, where it was her versus Lita, her biggest rival the entire time she's in the WWE for the women's title. Now, as I said earlier in the show, you end your career on your back. Today was a little different, as Lita lost the belt to Trish Stratus. And it was a very emotional match and ending, with tears coming down Lita's eyes, Trish Stratus' eyes, Lillian Garcia, the entire arena, her hometown of Toronto. What more can you ask for a farewell? You win, you retire as champion, you do it at your hometown, and to make matters even better, where I said earlier that I want another Divas Revolution where we can have Divas being up there to the Lita and Trish Stratus matches, this was the end of an era for her. This was an end of the era for wrestling as a whole. Now with that said, let's get into Lita's match. Survivor Series 2006, Mickie James versus Lita. Lita ends her career on her back. I mean, are you surprised Lita ended on her back? And instead of giving a heartfelt goodbye, she gave a bitter, "you're gonna miss me, forget all you guys" kind of speech. And then out comes Crime Time, selling Lita's stuff, ending it with selling Lita's box. I see what you did there, WWE. I know, rated R superstar, you're gonna end it. And we've heard countless complaints about Lita's farewell not being as good as Trish Stratus. Well, in all honesty, how could it be? Lita wasn't a face while she was retiring. You don't give a heel a good retire. You send them out on what made them popular. Everyone on this list so far has been a face when they've given their farewells. So what should it be that Lita gets a happy-go-lucky farewell? No, she got the Lita rated R superstar type of farewell, and it was a good farewell for the character that it was. I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of wish that she got a proper send-off, and she did when she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Lita's farewell was good, but Trish Stratus is number 5 on our farewell list. Number 4. The ultimate goodbye. I wrestled with myself whether or not to put this on the list. Yeah, pun, I know, forget it. But this farewell isn't the one he received the Monday after he passed. This was his final speech in the WWE. Hindsight, knowing what we know now, it wasn't supposed to be intended as a final speech to the WWE Universe. But after he said those lines,
"Every man's heart one day beats its final beat,"
and then the following day passed, how could I leave this off the list? Ultimate Warrior transformed over the years. From what we learned in the Ultimate Destruction about him being a money-grubbing person, to a motivational speaker, to making amends with everybody and everything in his past, to being the better person and giving this speech, a very heartfelt and moving speech. I had to put this on the list. There's no other reason why not to put this on the list, but to show that the Warrior was a good person, was an amazing person. And I would like to say thank you to the Ultimate Warrior. And the Ultimate Warrior's farewell speech is number 4 on our list. Number 3, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. No, this shouldn't be number 3. I don't want this number 3. This should have been number 1. But apparently, the people at the 4RWF want this to be number 3. I don't know how. I'm the only person here. But Shawn Michaels' farewell speech was very simple. He loses to The Undertaker in a career versus streak match. comes on Raw the next day and just spills it. As I said earlier with the Ultimate Warrior's evolution from when he first started to when he gave his final speech was a drastic change. But Shawn Michaels' change from when he started as a rocker to that final thank you and goodbye was very drastic. We all remember Shawn Michaels' final words when he left after he lost to Austin, and to have this be his final goodbye and not have a big spectacle, which you would expect from Mr. WrestleMania, the greatest in-ring performer in history. No. Comes out to the ring, thanks the fans for the years, thanks the boys in the back, and then leaves. Having Triple H up there to welcome him, to thank him, was just amazing. It didn't need to be the gigantic spectacle like some of these farewells have been, but it was just so simplistic and awesome for possibly one of the most flashiest persons in wrestling. And to be honest, it was great. I mean, everything Shawn Michaels does is great. Sometimes. There's been some bad things in the past. But this farewell somehow, someway fit the Heartbreak Kid. And Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, is number 3 on our list. Number 2. Edge's farewell. What can I say about this farewell? This is possibly the most emotional farewell that's going to be on this list. And to tell you the truth, no one saw it coming. He just wrestled at WrestleMania, winning and retaining the title. Most times, with the exception of a few, you lose the title and then you retire. Not this one. They thought to give Edge a proper send-off. And he comes down to the ring. You could tell he's very shaken. You could feel it. When he had to sit there and say those words that the doctors tell me I'm going to have to retire, the air left the arena. People watching at home were devastated. I know, I was like... Edge is the rated R superstar. Edge is a very talented performer. And we don't like losing talented performers to injuries, especially at such a young age. But you could tell the boy who's been wanting to wrestle since the age of 8. Yearbook saying that he's going to be a future WWF champion. That it was the end of a dream for him. That you could tell, as much as he didn't want to retire, he had to. He had no choice. Edge's speech was very moving, very touching, and it didn't feel like it was forced or rehearsed. It felt like he was just coming out there and being Adam. Not being Edge. Being up front with the fans and telling them how it is. And as much as I didn't want to see him to go, I didn't want something worse to happen to him. So Edge, thank you for all the years and hope you're enjoying retirement. Because you've made it to the number 2 spot on the 4RWF's list. And the number 1 farewell in wrestling history. Woo! I swear, I know, 2 top 10s, Ric Flair's number 1, but he really shouldn't be number 1 because we technically minus stuff, but hear me out on this. How can this not be number 1? It not only had everything you could ever ask for in a build-up to a farewell tour, in a retirement match against Mr. WrestleMania himself, to a 45-minute goodbye at the end of Raw. I know it wasn't 45 minutes, but man, it felt forever. But it was still awesome. Having him come down, thanking his family, thanking the fans, and about to leave, but out comes the game. And he said in typical Ric Flair fashion, "You think I was going to let you leave at this? No. You are the Nature Boy, the 16-time champion, the greatest wrestler of all time, a wrestling god. We are going to give you a proper send-off." And the boys in the back, Shawn Michaels, what's left of the 4 Horsemen, John Cena, Undertaker, Big Show, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the Big Belly Welly, Dusty Rhodes, everybody coming up and sending him off, giving him the proper send-off that only the Nature Boy can get. I mean, there's nothing more I can say about this send-off than this. Ric Flair had the greatest farewell tour and the greatest send-off in wrestling history. Done. Finito, number one, minus wrestlers who pass on our list.
I want to thank you for the memories.
And that's our top 10 list. If you don't agree with who's on this list, like we left someone off or the order was off, let us know in the comments or follow us on Twitter at 4RealWFans. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Latino Loco for the 4RWF.